Hello everyone. Today, I will tell you about a project that hasn't seen widespread approval in Quebec since all the way back to its inception in 1999, but that will nonetheless soon be affecting every Canadian taxpayer. A project mostly only Quebecers will have the possibility to benefit from, or have to tolerate, depending on their stance on the issue. This is about a multi-billion dollars project here. So I think it's important that you know how your taxes will be spent in the years to come. What project, you ask? I'm talking about the expected grandiose return of a tramway in Quebec City, of course. Here is a brief history of the project evolution over the years, as well as the amount of money that has already been invested in it, despite it still being far from being completed, even after more than 20 years. During a visit to France in December 1998, the mayor of Quebec City at the time, Jean-Paul Lallier, mentioned the idea of bringing back tramways to Quebec City. Less than 2 years later, Quebec Department of Transport launched a feasibility study with a $700,000 investment. The study took 2.5 years to complete, rather than just one, as was initially planned. Its conclusion was published in 2003. Tramway will be able to run in Quebec City as early as 2010. A conclusion that was already outdated in 2003 since the preferred route had been diverted from René Lévesque Boulevard to Charest Boulevard, and that even then, infrastructure construction costs were increasing year after year. The project was eventually shelved until 2010, when Régis Labombe, Quebec City mayor at the time, resurrected the idea of having a tramway. He even decided to make it the centerpiece of his sustainable mobility plan. The estimated cost of the project was already $1.5 billion for a 30-kilometer route. Pocket change to some, I guess. Then, 2 months before the 2013 election, the mayor seemed hesitant and stated that he was no longer entirely convinced that the tramway was the ideal solution to Quebec City mobility problem, and that it was the Quebec government role to release the necessary fund for the project. In 2015, another $5 million feasibility study was conducted for the tramway, which now include a bus rapid transit option. At that time, Sam Ahmad, the minister responsible for the Quebec City area, was adamant that Quebec could not afford the costs associated with the tramway. The project was therefore struck from the list of possible options. In 2017, Régis Labombe once again brought back the idea of a tramway among the serious hypotheses for a structuring public transit network in Quebec City. Following a certain green light from Quebec Premier Philippe Couillard, who had granted $215 million for the resumption of studies on planning and specification. The bill then amounted to $3 billion and would have been entirely assumed by the federal and provincial government. In 2019, a route for the tramway finally emerged, but several aspects still required further consideration. Indeed, some 358 land acquisition or part of land would be required for the tramway. Of these, 19 properties, 14 built and 5 vacant, would have to be removed from the landscape. The City of Quebec acknowledged that these acquisitions represent a major challenge for the project. Furthermore, the municipality did not rule out the possibility of expropriation. A recent law passed in Quebec government in 2019 allowed the city to proceed without the possibility of a legal challenge. All this without considering the number of trees that will be cut down, the repercussion of neighboring businesses, the irreversible modification to the drainage system, the drastic change to Quebec historic landscape, the construction site that will block traffic for years, the pollution that all this will generate, adding to the problem that the tramway itself will encounter to the Quebec harsh winter weather. The tramway's top speed would be between 18 and 22 km an hour to ensure a constant performance and to better control the impact it will have on urban traffic. At that speed, I don't think that is what will convince drivers to ditch their car. Finally, on April 7, Mr. Legault decided to sign the decrees for the construction of the tramway. At this instance, 40% of the financing will have to come from the federal government, while considering inflation and cost increase. On the same day the decree were signed, no formal request for federal government subsidy had been submitted. We are talking about several billion of dollars here.
À chaque fois que vous les entendez dire, là, M. Duclos, il nous a pas encore promis l'argent, comment ça se fait, puis qu'on tape sur le fédéral, là, pendant le point de presse, j'ai vérifié, Ottawa n'a pas encore reçu la demande formelle de financement.
François Legault also indicated his refusal to call a referendum to democratically decide the project fate. Acutely toll tramway limited to 22 km an hour that will probably take 10 years to build, with street transformed forever. Not that in 1936, Quebec City already had a tramway, but it was quickly phased out due to its lack of efficiency. Plus, with all the instability and the past 2 years help measure repercussion, many businesses are now opting to prioritize working from home. The tramway project will most likely exceed its estimated budget of $4 billion. We are getting used to it in Quebec. And that is not counting the million that has already been spent over the years. A project that will eventually see the light of the day despite being opposed by much of the population. A project that will only serve a fraction of Quebecers, but for which all of Canada will have to pay for many years to come, if not decade. Thank you very much. This was Alexa Lavoie for Rebel News. So as you know, we have a store that is called rebelnewsstore.com, and on this website we have so much new stuff that just came in. Go and look our new merch and just treat yourself with one of our shirts